Welcome, everyone, to Meet Your Neighbors. Today we have the distinct pleasure of talking with Keely Baisden Knudsen, one of the co-founders and the executive artistic director of the Legacy Theater. So, Keely, today, can you give us, the audience, a sense of where we are and what this facility is all about?
Sure, absolutely. So we're at the Stony Creek Museum right now, which is this fabulous building that used to be a church back in the day. And they have invited us very graciously to come and to kind of take residence in their museum to do once-a-month performances. So 1 weekend a month from November all the way through August of this year. We have been performing and will continue with 2 more productions here. And it's been a wonderful partnership and an opportunity for us to have our audiences be introduced to Stony Creek Museum and vice versa. One of the other really wonderful, notable things is that we've been invited to have a history of the Stony Creek Theater on display. So Memorial Day through Labor Day of this summer, we've created this wonderful exhibit that talks about what happened with the property all the way from the late 1800s to the present and even into the future. And one of the really interesting things of note, besides the fact that there's, old playbills that are under casement here that are authentic from the 1920s and 30s, is that we were able to, on loan from Judith Shea and Susan Weil, borrow these fabulous Sicilian puppets. And these puppets are very rare in the world. In fact, a full collection of them is exquisitely rare. But we have Ronaldo and his sister Knight here on display that we've borrowed from their almost full collection. And these puppets used to be in the Stony Creek Theater itself when it was the Stony Creek Puppet House. And Judith Weil had brought a whole bunch of puppets over and had a puppet museum here in Stony Creek. And then it evolved into the Stony Creek Theater when, or Puppet House, I should say, when Jimmy Weil took it over and his partner Sal McCree, and they would do performances with these amazing, huge, heavy puppets, and they were violent and interesting and more for working class than for children. But they're beautifully hand carved from wood and then very well taken care of. So it's amazing that we get to have them on display here at the Stony Creek Museum when they're such a rarity in the United States.
So, Keely, when did you discover your love of acting in theater? And what is some of the background that you have in theater?
Oh, thanks for asking. My mom, who's probably my number one fan, as mothers should be, right? She says that when I was 3 years old, that I would stand on our little front porch, and my brother would be made to hold a huge flashlight on me, and I would sing and dance. And she's got pictures of me in ballet school being like the one with the arms straight out. And I've always loved the stage, always, 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 whether it was singing or dancing or acting or playing the bassoon or whatever. Wow. So it's always been just a part of who I am. When I was in middle school, I was in my first actual play. It was the Masked Canary, and I played the title role of Masked Canary. And what's of note about that performance, it was my 8th grade year, and James Roday, he was Rodriguez then, but James Roday, who's on ABC's A Million Little Things and was the star of Psych when it was in its long run of seasons, was my acting partner in that. He was also cast opposite me, and we went on to high school together, and we were cast as leads throughout high school. Wow. Then we went to college, at the same college, and we're still cast opposite each other the whole time. And he's just recently decided that he's going to name the dressing room, the stage left dressing room, after our high school director, Mr. James Buchanan. So he's making a large donation and naming it after him, which will be so special to have that. But yes, I've always loved acting, always. And whenever I got the opportunity to perform or direct or choreograph, I was always there.
And can you just give a little sense of some of the background that you've had in theater?
Sure. So after high school, I went to New York University's Tisch School of the Arts, which is a wonderful and one of the largest drama schools in the nation. I graduated #1 there, and then I went on to receive a full scholarship to the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama in Glasgow, which was so fun. It was wonderful. It was only a year-long program, January to December, and then we got to perform at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and there were great perks about that.
David and I have been there, and it is an amazing festival.
Yes, we had a great time there.
And then what brought you to, you grew in Texas, didn't you? So what brought you to Connecticut?
Well, being a Texan, when I came to New York City, I was freaked out. Like, what is this? And what's the subway system? And I didn't know a soul, and it was very scary. So I would kind of escape to a more suburban, familiar area, which happened to be Connecticut for me. And I absolutely fell in love with it. This proximity to New York City, the the people, the culture, the pace. I just loved it. So I always knew that if I could live anywhere in the world, I wanted to live and make my roots in Connecticut.
And you did. And then I know in talking to you previously, you have a connection with Quinnipiac. Is that not so? Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah. So after I received my master's in Scotland, I immediately got a tour, and I was doing a tour of a show in the Western U.S., and I was accumulating funds, right, so that I could afford an apartment somewhere. And I knew that I loved Connecticut. So I thought, well, gosh, if I can get an adjunct faculty position now that I have my master's degree at a school in Connecticut, then that would give me the roots, and I can continue to go into New York and audition and be kind of, a nice little life. And so I did. While I was on tour, I sent my CV to Dr. Crystal Bryan, who was head of the theater department there. And she took a chance on me. I mean, she hired me sight unseen. Wow. I came out and did the official interview, and I've been teaching at Quinnipiac since 2002. Every single semester this whole time.
Oh,
yeah, 3 courses, and I teach all day on Wednesdays. I'll teach acting or musical theater performance or voice and movement or whatever they have me teach. And it's very, and we have a relationship with Quinnipiac now with Legacy. We have been using their theater arts center for our rehearsal space. And then a lot of the students are kind of apprenticing, if that's a word, with our professionals in our professional productions. So A Midsummer Night's Dream has several Quinnipiac students, and
wonderful.
Even an equity stage manager who's gone on to do wonderful professional work in New York City, who was a student of mine back in the day, is now our equity stage manager. So our ties to Quinnipiac are very strong.
How wonderful. Yeah. I'm going to hand the mic to you.
Okay. So I know I'd like to ask about the process of getting the theater to be here. I mean, first of all, maybe we should even ask how come you selected Branford? Is there any special reason?
Well, it's so interesting to get that question now after these several years of being here, because I've seriously fallen in love with this community. Yeah. It's so tight-knit, and they are, once you're in, you're in. They're very, you're like one of the club. So I feel very fortunate to be in this community. But no, it was sight unseen. When I first discovered that I was going to create a theater company and find a building to home it, we conducted a feasibility study. So the co-founder, Stephanie Stiefel-Williams, and I got together, and we contracted with Web Management, which is out of New York City, but they go all over the world doing feasibility studies to see, is a theater in a particular community even a feasible option, So based on all the other ones that are around, should we even go into this business? And the feasibility study came back saying that in Branford, Madison, or Guilford, so one of those 3 towns with a 350-seat or less building, with a strong educational component, especially in technical theater, that it would be a need, and actually people would like to come. Something to do with the Q Bridge, and then the socioeconomics of the area and education level and all of that. So when we went shopping for a theater, knowing that, that's when the Stony Creek Puppet House was for sale. So, and we'd already named the company Legacy, but it was unbelievable how uncanny the title of our company and the history of the theater kind of worked well together with its rich history.
So that's great.
And we became the rich recipients, so we're very, very fortunate.
That's what I was going to say. How fortunate. So again, about the process, how long did it take to actually get approved to go ahead with the project, the full project?
So a lot of years. A lot of years. So the first thing we did was went to East Shore Health Department, because everyone was saying, the septic, you can't have anything there, the septic. So I dove into what is it to be a theater owner? with the septic being the first thing, right? You don't think of these things when you're at NYU. But yeah, so we got approvals. We had this great design by Criscolo Engineering, and the late Bob Criscolo created that. And so our first approval came from East Shore Health, which was great. And then we moved on to our zoning approvals, and that one got approval, but it was appealed. So the Stony Creek Association and some neighbors were concerned, rightfully so, about who is this company coming in, and how are we going to know that they're not going to be very disruptive? Because the theater is in the middle of a neighborhood. We're not in a very, commercial area at all. We're right smack dab, and right, Stony Creek is just a slice of Americana. It is an old fishing village, and it's very particular and unique and wonderful, and it's been preserved. And I think that there was a great fear that we were going to come in and undo and make them like other places. And so we have had this wonderful education on what it is to live in Stony Creek and to be somebody from Stony Creek, and we are striving to be a Creeker company. so that and a lot has come from that. We had negotiations. We met with the neighbors and monthly many times for over the course of 2 years, and discovered what it was that would be the best business plan for us and for them. And so we're open 150 days out of the year, and we've resolved the parking issues with a shuttle that goes from exit 56 commuter lot for outsiders and brings people into the theater, drops them off in front, takes them back up. And all of our plans in the interior and the exterior of the theater and its complete restoration have the noise and the queuing lines and all of that in mind, so that we can make sure that we're preserving kind of the vintage charm of the village as much as possible.
Yes. I think we were at the groundbreaking ceremony, and we felt the warmth and the embrace of you. I think we felt how community truly absorbed you. At one point, we even felt that you were very deeply touched by the speakers and how they so warmly accepted you into community. So I think it was a win-win, and it was compromise. But when they felt that you respected their needs, they took you in their hearts, and we're delighted. Keely, so what are some of your goals and visions as you move forward?
So we are going to have 4 main stage productions, and by that I mean we're going to be open for a run of the play 3 to 4 weeks in each production. So that'll happen throughout the year. Then we also have a 2-week holiday show in December. So we'll be doing that as well. So the 150 days don't equal that. So we also have our camps and our classes. We have a wonderful outreach program called the Wheel Life Theater Troupe. That's for those that ambulate with wheelchairs or crutches and their siblings or caretakers. And we've already begun that and have been able to perform at the International Festival of Arts and Ideas, and we'll be performing at the Guilford Performing Arts Festival. And it's open for all ages and free. So if anybody that you know of, or anybody who's listening, does ambulate with a wheelchair or crutches, would like to be involved, it gives everyone the opportunity to play whatever role they would like to, and to advance in their craft of acting. And so that is all, in place to be open for August of 2020. So that's what the current, I always hesitate to give a date because it just keeps moving. But the current timeline from our builders, OR&L, and the team that's doing this, has the groundbreaking that happened last month, and then just continuous work, and we open in 2020. And the funding is, I say in place, but that's because of a $2 million bridge loan that we've been given as well. And the hope is to continue the fundraising as we're continuing the building throughout, so we don't have to stop the building process. But we have about 1.7 left to raise before we hit the final mark.
And Webster Bank gave you that bridge loan. Correct?
That's right, Webster Bank.
That's great. Yeah.
So I could tick off the thing that says here. When is your official opening? Okay. And now I want you to know that I saw the, 2 nights ago, the production of by the that you did with Shakespeare in the Park of A Midsummer's Night's Dream, and it was great. It really was. It was quite a production. So many characters, music, singing even, and. it was well received. So we're glad to have the theater coming here. What, though, might be happening between now and the opening? Like I know you said there'll be 2 more programs here at the museum. Any other planned events, maybe?
Good question. Thank you for that. So we are, as you say, A Midsummer Night's Dream is the first Shakespeare production that's been on the Branford Green, as far as we know. Even the town historian, Jane Booley, the reason I even looked into it was I was thinking it'd be so fun on the poster to put, for the first time since, because I hadn't, heard of one in a while. And then they discovered that hadn't been one that they knew of. So as for part of Branford's 375th birthday celebration, they're letting all kinds of events happen on the Green. And so they allowed a Shakespeare to come. So we had done Hamlet on the Guilford Green last year, and that went really well. So we thought, well, we'll bring A Midsummer Night's Dream to the Branford Green this year. And it has been so fun. And everyone has been so welcoming and accommodating. I mean, we're a big group of people, 20 actors and crew and company and huge scaffolding and set issues and all of that. But it's been so fun. So fun. So I really appreciate that opportunity, and it's been great publicity for us as well. Then after that closes, which is, so today's Friday, tomorrow, Saturday, the 6th, it closes. The following weekend, we're performing right here on this stage. We're doing Stars, Stripes, and Quarries. So it's a patriotic show that's a cabaret that kind of gives a nod to Stony Creek and its wonderful contribution to the American landscape, specifically with the quarry and how the Stony Creek Quarry was used for the base of the Statue of Liberty and all kinds of wonderful, so that's happening that weekend. And then in August, we come back and perform here and do Past, Present, and Future, which is a cabaret, which is an overview of what has happened in the Stony Creek Theater from the past, so scenes and songs from those shows, and then what we're looking to do right now in terms of what we're creating, and then the future. And the future is going to have highlights of some of the shows we're going to be doing at the theater as Legacy, and then the audience will get to go and take a tour of the actual theater right now in its construction process. It'll be a part of that kind of historic snapshot of what's going on there right now. And then in October 17th, we're doing a fundraiser. It's going to be at Woodwinds, and it's a murder mystery dinner done by Michael Sayers. Michael Sayers is amazing. He's playing both the Geas and is it Snug that plays the lion in the play within the play? But he's in A Midsummer Night's Dream, and he has this company of players that does this hilarious and fun murder mystery. So he's gifting that to us for a fundraiser, October 17th. And then we'll be performing the last weekend in September. Our outreach program, the Wheel Life Theater Troupe, will be putting on a play, a straight play that we'll be rehearsing.
Wonderful.
And then there's a one-woman show by a Guilford resident that I will be directing as well for part of that festival. And then January is my deadline for season subscription sales will begin. So I need to have all my ducks in a row about precisely what our season's going to be and make sure all the numbers crunch properly, as you do owning a theater. And then it will be in full swing for, rehearsing that show and be up and running for our season.
So do you plan a potpourri of drama and musicals?
I love the way you put that. We will have a musical, a straight play, a new work, and a children's piece.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. With all the incredible involvements that you have now as director, are you still going to act and sing, or you're not going to give that up, are you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm singing and dancing in the show next weekend here. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful opportunity, right, for an artist to be in this position. It's very humbling because you can look at the landscape of the great literature that's out there and new works and all of that, and really be able to fashion, where the community, where professionals, where those coming up could fit in, and then even have some opportunities to insert yourself where you feel it would be a benefit. And so it's really a wonderful opportunity.
But it also sounds like you're giving great respect and honoring to the community that this theater sits in. So it's a beautiful blending.
Thank you. I feel so too. Thank you.
Beautiful blending.
I'd like to ask something about the construction. Can you give us just a general idea, no specific details necessarily, of what has to be done, what's being done, and what the facility is going to look like?
Yeah. Outstanding question. So we have a phenomenal plan. It's super dreamy. What the building right now, we are keeping, obviously, the footprint and the shell of it. In fact, the State Historic Preservation Office is granting 25% of our building costs to make sure that everything stays, historically accurate. Now, within that, everything within the building is deemed that we can restore it to such a way that it will be a very functional state-of-the-art theater. So we're doing everything. In fact, we're rebuilding kind of walls inside those walls. So it's literally building the theater inside the theater. It's going to be, and with the floors, it's going to be almost 6,000 square feet in that tiny little barn. It's completely accessible, which is another wonderful, thing that our real life theater troupe will be pleased to be housed in. So the lobby area is going to be the same height as the stage, but they're digging down underneath the stage so that there's raked seating all the way up. So everybody's got an excellent viewpoint. We have these really comfortable seats that are, red plush velvet, will look really nice. The woodwork on the sides of the interior is just, stunning. They've even, so Wyeth Architects have been the architects to do the interior and have really, they're just geniuses to be able to get 127 seats inside this little building and make it such a beautiful little kind of opera house.
It's going to retain the legacy of its past, and it's going to be technically up to date, way up to date, and have a lot of beauty. I mean, with the curtains folding, so on. Oh, my God. They're very attractive.
When we talked with you previously, this didn't just fall in your lap. I think you had expressed that you always had this vision. And I think you're the kind of human being that when you have a vision, you go for it and move forward and hold on and make it happen. And that's so admirable and inspirational.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. People sometimes ask, especially when things got dicey with, oh no, the neighbors are worried, they're scared. Why we continue to move forward with it and why, and I think it's because I always knew that of anybody to run that theater in this particular neighborhood, it would probably be a really good fit because I care so much about that, about making sure that we're a good blend with the neighbors, about keeping the integrity of Stony Creek, and then also just, feeling kind of the ghosts of those that played these very boards. It's such an important building. It's got so much interesting and fascinating history, and to kind of be able to continue on and carry on their legacy and keep the integrity of it has always been very important to me. So that's always kept me just, okay, so we've got a new challenge, and how are we going to meet that, and let's move on.
And may I say, as a mother myself, a grandmother, of course, now, but as a mother, I know you're a mother of 5 children. You are an inspiration, and what a model for them.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Will. They're my inspiration.
So I'd like to ask, who else is involved in this overall project?
Besides you and Stephanie?
Right. Can you tell us what else, who else makes up this overall moving forward? Who are you connected with now?
We have a board of trustees of 13, and Stephanie Stiefel Williams is the co-founder, and she's also the chair of that board. And they're a wonderful group of people, and they have stuck with it. Yeah. And then we also have an advisory council of about 44 people.
It's a large advisory council, isn't it?
Yes. We have a lot of people to ask questions to that can help us out.
Mostly from the community?
Yes, mostly Brantford. Mostly Brantford, their advisory council. And then we have, volunteers that will give so much time and effort. We have, people like Mary Lee Weber, who works at the museum and is also working with us to develop in the community. We have, people like my mother. Who will
live in the area?
She does. She actually lives right behind me, which is why I can do what I do. But she's fabulous. That's right. That's what it's all about.
That's so beautiful.
So she helps like run front of house, even at the A Midsummer Night's Dream. She's there right at the front, greeting people and helping, and and of course my husband, who will schlep big set pieces at 3:00 in the morning in a U-Haul. It's a strong, tight family, and then a community family that it takes a village. It really, truly does.
I'm curious, just on the side, do any of your children take after you with a love of acting yet, or singing, or dancing, or any of them?
So yes, in fact, Liviana, my 10-year-old, is in A Midsummer Night's Dream. She's one of the fairies in it. Yes, and I had all 5 of my children involved in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, because of course you would involve them in that, and that took place here, and it was so fun. Savaya, my oldest, who's 13 now, was the Wicked Queen, and then we had all the way down to the then 4-year-old Reeves, who's a boy. He played Dopey, and he made sure that every single costume piece was just right, and just like the Disney movie, I had to get the purple hat and the brown. So yes, they've all. And then the Wheel Life Theater Troupe. One of my daughters, Winter, she ambulates in a wheelchair. Yes, and so she was my inspiration for that theater troupe, because we couldn't find a dance or theater troupe that was for mobility only issues. It was lumping a lot of marginalized communities together, and it made it difficult for her to connect with others. And so I thought, well, let's just, gosh, I have a theater company. Why don't we do this? Beautiful. And it's already received so much publicity and interest.
And how many people so far in that Wheel Life troupe?
So different people come every time, but about a dozen at this point. We'd love to grow.
What ages are they?
Oh, well, at one point it was 4 to probably close to 70.
I love it. I love it. Fabulous. Let me see. And are there any paid professional staff that you have amongst this project?
We have had paid professional staff come and go. It's been such an interesting process, because we haven't had our theater yet. The actual, we're running a theater and we're in the building, and it's in its own operations. So we've needed all kinds of professionals, development professionals to come in and help us, and business management professionals to come in. But now that we are embarking on our first season of shows, and we'll kind of be set as an organization, this is the first fiscal year, and we start our fiscal year July 1st. So this board meeting for this month is all about what is our organizational structure for the building itself. So we're looking at, having a development director and some sort of business manager or managing director of the theater, along with me as artistic director, to be the permanent staff running it. And then we'll have so many part-time opportunities with the house, running up the house, and the, all the actors and the artisans that it takes to create a piece of theater. So we're actually in kind of limbo right now. Right now it's just me, but there's going to be more. Please let there be more. Yes, and since this is going to be viewed, if there's anybody in the community that's interested in becoming involved in any way, shape, or form, if you want to, hammer a nail into the theater itself, or if you want to usher in the future, or if you got expertise in Excel spreadsheets or anything, or stuffing envelopes, we'll take you. So we'd love to have the community help out and be a part of it as much as possible.
Great.
How can they get in touch?
Yes.
So you can email me directly at Keely, it's Keely, or you can put info, either one comes to me, at legacytheaterct.org. So it's legacy, Legacy, theater, and we spell it with an R-E, so THEATRE, then CT, that's for Connecticut.org.
One more time round.
Sure, legacytheaterct.org.
Thank you so much. Keely, this has been such a treat.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and again, thank you for the hard work that you put into it, that you helped to make this all come to fruition.
The community is going to benefit so much
Yes.
by having a theater.
Thank you.
We are thrilled.
Well,
An educational center.
Yes, absolutely. And we try to keep our social media up to date. If people want to see, what's happening right now in the building, or shows coming up, we're at Legacy Theater CT for Facebook. And then our website is www.legacytheaterct.org. And so if you want to know about our shows, and of course, if you're not a computer type of person and want to just pick up the phone and call, I answer the phone too. And that's 203-208-5504. 203-208-5504, and that's our kind of office number.
So everyone, please keep the calls coming in, get on that website, check out the plays, and let's support the Legacy Theater.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Keely.
Thank you.